Good day, everyone, and welcome to Scalping Revisited webinar. So today I will show you and Chris together with me. We will take a look at scalping today. It's a little bit different, of course, than it was some time ago, and we need to adapt to current market conditions. And as always, scalping is a good way to actually take some profits, and you can even try to turn your scalps into intraday positions if you see that your trade is going right, and that is what I also will be showing you today. So before we start, as always, this is me and this is Chris. And together we are presenting new methods for scalping. Before we start, a fast risk disclaimer. Explain that CFD and forex trading are leveraged products and can result in losses that exceed your deposits, and those are not suitable for everyone. So please, before you start trading, ensure that you understand the full risk. This presentation and the video is for informational and educational purposes only, and have in mind that this video is not part of the .co.uk website but a globally used .com website. This is where you can read a full risk disclosure. Okay? Now, why do we trade with other markets? Because we always trade with the best. Okay, we always trade with the best. It has other markets has great spreads, not just on forex but also on equities. And you can actually try to trade all CFD mini contracts starting from zero point 0.1 lots and even 0.01 lots. This is what I now do with MT5. Usually with MT5, I'm able to actually trade even some smaller accounts. And the thing that I do now is I will prove that you can make money even when you trade with low accounts, and even when your account is low, you still are able to make some substantial return on investment. For example, this is the trade that I was talking about. If you remember, today we talked about pound yen, we talked about dollar yen. Guys, watch these trades. I'm more than 50 pips. This is live account. More than 50 pips in profit regarding dollar yen. I told you that dollar yen will go up. Pound yen also. So today, this week was very, very good for trading. And I hope that you also manage to grab a lot of pips with our analysis. So you can see here MT5 account, multiple entries, guys. This is what when I say multiple entries, this is what I call scaling in, and you can see 3 positive trades. So more than 50, 60 pips on this, and pound yen today. So today we were able to get more than 100 pips combined. Of course, if you followed our analysis, if you didn't follow our analysis, well, it's a pity, because uh, you should definitely follow Chris and me on Admiral Markets, and you will always see fast updates of the analysis. And of course, don't forget to follow us on Twitter too, because we always post great content. Okay. Now, how we do the scalping today and how to scalp? Well, it's pretty much different than it was. Like 7, 8 years ago. I need to say that today definitely best sessions are London and London New York overlap. Still, some things haven't changed. I mean, in the past, I was telling you that Asia session is also good. Now for Asia session, I can say only thing that I can trade if I'm awake is yen. So only yen during Asia session. Things that I was telling you about like 5, 6 years ago, they're not valid anymore. Let's say Australian dollar, for example. Australian dollar only moves when there is some big news, or when there is some, let's say, standard CPI or inflation news. That is when Australian dollar moves. Today, Australian dollar range is a lot less than it was 7, 8 years ago. So I particularly don't scalp really on Australian dollar. What I do is during Asia session, I really go for yen. During London and New York session, it's euro, dollar, yen, or Canadian dollar. But there is a thing that I incorporated into scalping method that I presented you, and I will show you that today. It's called currency strength meter, and of course, if you want to have it, you just need to send me an email. It's called Elite Currency Strength Meter, and Chris and I can share it for free with you. Okay, it's our own currency meter, ECS currency meter, and as always, guys, for you, just send me an email, and I will send you a currency meter if you want. First 3 hours of each session are very suitable for scalping, and have in mind that I particularly don't like to scalp on NFP days, except if I trade the NFP itself. Uh, but let's say that bank holidays, stress tests, when bank conduct stress tests, or 15 minutes prior to 15 minutes after the strong news data release, you might actually lose your scalping trades unless those scalping trades are actually breakout trades. So if you want to scalp during NFP, bank holiday stress test, or 15 minutes prior and 15 minutes after the strong news data release, you should do it like this. You definitely need to find 5-minute top and bottom, okay, and then place a pending order here or pending order there, and wait if the price actually breaks it in the trend direction. That is what I will also show you today. So we changed some things for scalping because, of course, markets have changed. Markets are much more volatile than they were like 7, 8 years ago, and there are a lot more participants. So of course, it's not the same. How forex scalpers make money? Of course, patience is always required, even for scalping, because you will have more chance to trade, you will have more entries to make, but again, you use a system, right? Uh, Trading without the system is not trading. It's like gambling. So even with scalping, whenever you want to make a scalp, you want to follow your scalping system, right? Because of that, you always need to have patience. Patience is not that, let's say, needed as in the as when you trade, let's say, on intraday time frame, positional trades, or when you make I call it POC rejections. For our intraday trades and POC rejections, we definitely need to have more patience. But for scalping, you don't need to have that much of a patience, but still you need to wait for all of your indicators or the odds to stack into your favor to pull the trigger, right? So still during scalping, you will be exploiting momentum and sharp price movements, reversals. You will be able to do counter trend scalps, but for me today, maybe I can say that best scalps are done through breakouts by using slightly higher leverage. Uh, Okay, it's very important that you understand that the first 3 hours of each session are most suitable for scalping. So it means if London market, let's say, opens at 9 o'clock, 9, 10, 11 o'clock are usually the best. Also, we scalp during major sessions, and that means also New York session, London, New York overlap, okay, and of course, uh, the last thing that you want to do is to trade some pairs that do not move as a scalp trade. For example, I don't recommend trading CAD pairs during Asian session. I really don't recommend trading. I mean, you can trade New Zealand dollar during London, but I don't think that you will have a lot of scalping opportunities on New Zealand dollar during London session. So depending on the session, you also want to actually adapt to your trading opportunities. For London session, I can say that pound yen is the best, then pound dollar. Of course, you can go with all pound crosses. Mostly euro crosses are that good, but not that much unless there is some big news such as euro today. You can also try to scalp during London and New York dollar CAD, but dollar CAD is best mover during New York session. And you can even try to get in a trade, let's say on SP 500 or DAX or during London and New York, but during Asia session, guys, stick to Hang Seng Index, Nikkei, and yen pairs. That is what people like to see. Uh, okay, so let's see if I have some questions. No, I don't see. So we can move. Scalping is usually done on 5 minute and 15-minute time frame, except for some extreme 1 minute scalping. Risk is always based on the overall risk per day plus risk per trade. So before you actually start to scalp, you really need to know what the market will actually give you. For that reason, I recommend always going with lower risk because you don't know if the day will be good to trade or the day will be simply bad to take any trades. I used to say, and I always repeat, sometimes not having a position in the market equals to being to having a profitable position. So let's say that the risk is 3% per day and your account is $10,000. It means that you can risk $300 for that day. Now, if you make one lot trade with 10 pips stop loss, you can only take 3 trades. And guys, when you start to trade, you need to be ready to lose. So you're not basing your, and you never should ever base your trades on how much you're willing to win. You should base your trades on how much you're willing to lose. So that is why we use risk management. One lot, 3 trades maximum. But if your account is $10,000 and you risk only 3% per day, with 0.5 lots and 10 pip stop loss, you can make 6 trades. While 10 pip stop loss is really very tight stop loss, 15 pip stop loss is much better. So that is the basic calculation, how you can calculate your maximum available number of trades based that you will lose every trade in a row. Of course, with a good system, it should not happen. But well, if you're trading with emotions or you are, let's say, too emotional about your trades, then this will not mean anything because emotional traders who are revenging their trades, they don't respect anything of money management, and this is just a nonsense to them. And if you want to trade professionally, make your own table, guys. This is a table that I used many times while I was trading 10,000 and more, of course, dollars and euros. And it works also with 100 euros and $1,000. It's a good thing. because definitely it will help you make your plan in a much easier way. So let's say when I started my first account, after I did demo account for 1 year, I traded with $10,000. And I remember with my scalping system, I will show you that today. Again, it's called double MACD stochastic. I traded with 15 pip stop loss most of the time, and I use zero point 0.5 lots on every single trade. And very rarely I had 4 trades in a loss. But once or twice when I had it, well, that will be the end of trading day for me, because I really stick to 3% of maximum loss, and it's good. So this is the system, and in addition, it uses also currency correlation, because it's not just euro dollar, pound dollar today. There is much more to trade, more pairs to trade. So if you stick to session trading, you will trade, as I said, euro, GBP, yen, dollar during London in your session, and stick to Nikkei index and yen pairs during Asia session. This system is made of few indicators. We use EMA 34 and 55. I am the creator of this system. Stochastic 813 and stochastic 1313 overlaid. We use MACD 2 line 34, 80, 89, 34, and we use hourly pivots. You can use Camarilla pivots that are free. So if you want to have a Camarilla pivot, just send a request to me, and I will send the indicator for you. Entry long is made when blue 34 EMA is above 55 red EMA. MACD blue line needs to be above red line. Okay. Stochastic, at least one of them should be recently oversold at 20 level and be crossed up, and target is hourly pivot point. Entry short is vice versa. 34 EMA should be below red. MACD blue line needs to be red line needs to be, you will see that on the chart below, zero line. Stochastic, at least one of them should be recently overbought and be crossed down. This is how a template looks like, but of course I modified the template for 2018. It's slightly different, and I will share the screen with you. It's pretty much straightforward. I always like to keep things as simple as possible, and if you like the system, then you are of course able to ask it. It's free, and this is how the system looks like in action. So we have a zero line. You can always, if you don't see a zero line, you go to MACD, add 0. Okay, make it whatever color you wish. You can place a red color if you want, but let's use, I don't know, we can use other than red, something like blue. And this is zero line. So very, 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 very good scalping system. Here is, because I also trade this from time to time, and I traded this before I went to Camarilla MACD and my scalping template that I use. But this was very, very good, guys, to trade, especially when things are volatile. For example, short trades, always when price is above 80, if MACD is red, you make a short trade. So your first short trade is here. Your next short trade, let's see, happened here. Then your next short trade happened here. Then your next short trade could be even here, and your final trade. You see, when market is trending, you will have a lot of good scalping opportunities. But as I always say, problems with scalping systems are you might start to overtrade. So you definitely need to be careful not to overtrade. You need to be very careful with money management, and you simply want to make 2, 3, 5 good trades, or 5, 6 scalps, and stop trading for that day. Do not overtrade. Targets are hourly pivot points. So with this indicator, Elite Currency Camarilla, you have also hourly pivot point. This is free indicator. It lacks some options, of course, from paid indicator, but you can use this option. It's period H1 Camarilla type, and you can also show history here, so you can backtest the strategy how it goes. Stop loss is always placed 5 pips above last swing high if you go short, or below last swing low if you go long. Long trades are also very simple. Well, let's see if we had some long trading opportunities here, for example. Price MACD is above zero line. Here, this is your entry. Then this could be, when you are versed with the system, very often you will be able also to spot this as a good entry. This is a good entry also here, and so on and so on. The biggest thing here is you need to have indicators aligned. Yeah, this is what also needs to be entered on a template. You need to enter moving averages. I'm not sure why it doesn't show up. Let me reapply the template. Okay, you need to have moving averages. It's 34 and 55. 34 is blue, 55 is actually red, and yeah, it should be like this. So blue above red, blue MACD, and stochastic cross. So blue above red, blue MACD, stochastic cross. Blue above red, blue MACD, stochastic cross. And for sell trades, red above blue, red above blue, red, 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 stochastic above 80. I mean, it's very simple. I've noticed that these EMA combinations are also very strong, and with MACD, this is a nice solid method that you would like to try. If you're interested, just send me an email. And one more thing before Chris takes over. This is, guys, it's current Elite Currency ECS slope indicator. It actually measures the strength of forex pairs. I use it on 1 hour time frame, and you can see here the bigger the number, the stronger the currency is. So at this point, dollar is the strongest, euro is the weakest, then yen is the strongest, and so on and so on. Why is this useful? Because you can pick pairs which you can trade. So if I see that yen is strong and GBP is weak, then I will open GBP yen and I will trade GBP yen shorts, because GBP is weaker than yen. But then I can also trade Swiss yen, New Zealand yen, also to the short side. If I see the dollar is strong, euro is weak, then euro dollar is short, and so on. This concept is very good. If you want to try it, just send me an email, and again, you will be able to have this indicator. Now, Chris will continue. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me. Use this, what I was talking about, and try it first on demo account, and then if you're successful, try it on live account. Thank you, guys, and talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, T. Great stuff there. Interesting topic, and Nenad is an expert in this. In fact, scalping. I will take a look too. I mean, I don't scalp as frequently. I look more at 1 hour charts, 4 hour charts, but I'm going to share my experience with looking at lower time frames. And first, of course, taking a look at the markets. We'll take a look at what's going on and this week. But I need to share my screen. It doesn't seem to be working. Ah, I understand why. All right. Sorry for that. Got a bit distracted because of that. All right. There we go. So, scalping. Short trades. Nenad gave you a wonderful explanation. So you know what it's all about. So this week, for instance, let's take a look at some live examples and what kind of trades could be considered a scalp. So what I like to do when looking at intraday trading in general is basically looking at the charts that seem to have good momentum. I think that's always a good start, or a corrective pattern that basically show a structure. So let's take a look at, for instance, the beginning of this week, we had pound New Zealand and euro New Zealand strength. for instance. So we can start and mark the beginning of this week quickly. Here we go. All right. So when you look at the higher time frames, daily, weekly chart, all right, you see strong bullish candle right there. Look at that. That's indicating strength. We warned that as well at the beginning of this week. And you can see that on Friday, right here, we had another strong candle. So when you see momentum like this with strong candles, you can expect continuations, all right? So even on a 4-hour chart, that's on both time frames, like 4-hour, 1-hour, daily, weekly charts, you can expect continuations when you see strong candles like this, even on an hourly. So this is something that just using candles like this is already a good starting spot. All right. So let's zoom into this week from here and take a look at hourly chart. It's always good to have an hourly chart with you because of the fact that the hourly is pretty important when you look at the lower time frames like 5-minute charts and stuff like that. And you can see that Monday is always a bit of a slow day, but you know, then we get a good momentum to the upside. So let's take a look at the 5-minute chart now. There we go. Scroll to the beginning. So we're looking for longs based on those candles. And now we can take a look at patterns. Patterns, very simple, connecting dots, connecting tops of resistances for upside when you look at the, of course, the trends that we just saw with regard to the candles. All right. So when looking at this 5-minute chart, we see, for instance, here a breakout nicely like this, connecting the resistance tops. There we go. So that could have been a breakout candle right there for a 5-minute breakout to the upside right here on this one, for instance, right? We had maybe one more here, in fact, an early one right here, and there was a breakout to the upside too. I don't know why, but sometimes if I use my drawing tool, the chart gets deleted. So let me pull that up quickly. It's probably some combination of keyboards that I use. But anyhow, let's continue. That was the 23rd of October. I'm back with the pound New Zealand. Hopefully you see it. Yes, good. So 24th of October, there we go. Another good breakout candle here and here for upside continuation. And there we go. So just using candles and trend lines like this provides a lot of opportunity throughout the trading day. And specifically this week was really a lot of these opportunities. Some great setups with regard to candles and trend lines. Very simple, with that regard. You can also use fibs to place it on the candle to see where the retracement could go. That's also a very useful tactic and simple tactic. So that is something that is very simple to do. When you get into a consolidation like this, of course, you want to be a bit more cautious. So this is already pretty lengthy. If the momentum is not visible anymore like this, then you want to be careful. All right. But still, even if you use the trend line like this, you still have a good breakout here. Then you go into sideways, so you want to be a bit more careful. But if you still use this as a resistance, still a good breakout. All right, now this particular breakout didn't go anywhere if you use this trend line, for instance. But in the meantime, price has gone sideways for quite a lot. So you want to be a bit more cautious with that. Wait for some momentum to appear and look for the next break. All right, for instance, this, I wouldn't say that that's a good breakout because of that choppy range, but I would say that this is a good breakout. And the reason has to do with the fact that we see momentum back into the market here, and then we see a bull flag here. All right, so that was a good breakout candle. It's a big candle on a 5-minute chart, but you get also a good follow through. A big candle like that is not necessarily bad because it shows momentum, it shows volatility, and therefore also a good chance of continuation. So this one, not a good setup in my opinion because of the range, but here the dynamic has changed, and of course this is the good, strong breakout candle. Let's take a look at that candle. There you go. So you might be scared because it's a candle of 75 pips on a 5-minute chart. That's huge, and could be related to news. This was pound news, in fact. But after 5 minutes after the news event, it should be after the news event. Yes. If it's before the news event, then I wouldn't do that. but if it should be after the news event, then this is actually a good signal because the candle close is near the high, indicating lots of strength and that the fact that the bulls are in control of that candle. All right, and up it goes, as you can see, for way more, about 150, probably 180 in total. So let's break this down. Let's take a look at the different example. Maybe, I don't know, does anyone have a preference? There are a lot of breakout trades, in fact, this week. We could take a look at your odd, maybe. All right. So there we go. That's the 1 hour candle right here. That's a good breakout. And this week, and we had more bullish candles. Let me take a look. I'm just focusing on the 1 hour chart. I don't want to make it too complicated. I was looking at multiple time frames a while ago with the pound New Zealand. All right, so here we have a bullish candle, the start of a bullish candle, and here, all right, and here we have a trend line break. So let's take a look at these three moments where we have good 1 hour candles, and let's zoom in and dive into the 5-minute chart. All right, there we go. So let me zoom out a little bit. And let's take a look at this 5-minute structure. Actually, the 1 hour candle, of course, appeared a little bit later, obviously. Here it appeared. Good. So we, at that moment, already had a break, actually, of this trend line. So from this perspective, this was already a counter trend line break, actually, of this particular 5-minute trend line. Why do I say counter trend line break? Because of the fact that on the hourly chart, we saw, an uptrend. We can take a look at that again on the hourly chart, how it looked like. Well, we saw here a downtrend, to be honest, but overall we saw an uptrend channel. All right. So it was at a bullish bouncing spot. From this perspective, you can draw a trend line like this too, to get a zone, basically. All right, just using trend lines, very simple. This is a bullish bounce zone. So back to the 5-minute chart. All right, and price was heading into that zone. So when it broke above the resistance trend line, it broke a counter trend line in a bounce zone. So it's possible to trade it right here, in fact, because of that. The other alternative would be to wait for the hourly candle to close above this, which happened probably 1 hour later, like this, and wait for the next bull flag, which is here basically, and this is the breakout candle. Now, why this particular trend line? You might be wondering. Because in my view, it is kind of connecting all the dots here with these candles. This is the critical trend line that I think is the most important, and this is the breakout candle. So from my point of view, breakout candles here and here on the 5-minute chart, depending on how much confirmation we want on the hourly chart. So entry could be here, stop loss here, entry could be here, stop loss here or here. And we can put a fib on that particular swing here like this, aim for these targets, could put a fib from here to here, aim for the minus 272 target, for instance, or the minus 61.8, although we didn't get there. So if we aim for the minus 272 target, more conservative target, that's 15 pips. Not so much for your odd, maybe, but it's just about the principle here at the moment. Yeah, I gotta, of course, keep an eye on the spread when trading scalping. So depending on which account you have, excuse me, the euro odd might be not a good scalping chart, or you might want to wait for more, a bigger trade, a swing scalp, as Nenad likes to call it, so that you're aiming more for 30 pips perhaps, or 40, so that the spread cost is not too much. Let's take a look at the next example. Alrighty. So I'm not sure if this is the breakout candle or 1 hour later, in fact. Let me double check that very quickly. We're now talking about, hang on, let me get rid of this fib. We're talking about this candle here, and it started at 9. Okay, good. $9 o'clock. Let's speed it forward. So here on the 5-minute chart, we don't have any setup here. We have to wait all the way till we get some flag, and that happens here. So here we got a correction like this, a flag correction like that, and we got a breakout candle. It didn't go too much at the beginning, kind of scalp or going sideways, excuse me, corrective, choppy, before we get a continuation higher. So with this particular case, if the stop loss is used with the most current bottom, I would go below 151 though, that's a round level. Then this particular dip should have survived. Entry at 151.15. And yeah, up it went, but I don't think the target would have got hit. We can put the target like this. All right, -272 target is the target. I don't think it got hit. It got hit later on, but we would never have stayed. When you're scalping, you wouldn't stay in that long. So when price, this is still okay in my view, but when price made this upside and then went into a consolidation, either take it off or move the stop loss below it. So it would have probably been a break-even trade. Next one. All right, there we go, 4 o'clock. And there we go, we get the bull flag pattern. Entry right here, stop loss below the flag, and up it went. So even scalping indeed takes some time before you get a follow through. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, yes. So it's pretty straightforward. Look for strong candles. Look for patterns. Draw trend lines. Look for good candle breakouts after those patterns break. Any questions? So it's really based on candlesticks, pure price action, trend lines, fibs, and you can do a lot with this. Very powerful tools. Any questions at this point? We have one suggestion for Euro Swissy. It's one of the pairs that I actually didn't look at this week, so I have no idea. I was looking at New Zealand weakness, Aussie weakness, CAD weakness, Yen weakness this week, and pound strength, although pound strength failed on me, unfortunately. So that, partly at least, depending on which setup I'm talking about, those things can happen. Didn't get a follow through. Let's see, Euro Swissy. I don't even, oh, here. There we go. So we can take a look at the hourly charts. And this is something that's quite flexible. I mean, we can take a look at counter trend strong 1 hour candles like these two and see how they would have responded on the 5-minute chart. That's of course very risky, counter trend. This does not look like a good pattern, so I think that would have been skipped from my point of view. 1500. All right. And maybe this one right here. There's a trend line here. This could have been a good breakout candle right there based on the 1 hour bearish candle and the breakout here on the 5-minute chart. And this is, mind you, not even looking at the trend. I was just looking at the candles themselves. And this was actually a counter trend setup. But one of the criteria is strong candles. We need to have a candlestick pattern, a good candle size, a candle close in the high or low, not too big of a wick in that direction. And of course, if we see momentum, that's great, but it has to be a substantial candle. Here, for instance, that's a great signal. So 5-minute flag, continuation, good scalping trade right there. We can take a look at that. All right, there we go. There we go. All righty. The 1 hour candle, the 5-minute triangle, or in this case, a descending wedge, breakout candle right there. Stop loss, and up it went. Good scalp. So I know that many of you think probably when scalping, you think maybe of many indicators, you think maybe many oscillators, for instance. But if you have an understanding of market structure of candles and patterns, I think you can do even better job, right? Because although indicators, oscillators are great, they do, confuse the chart in some ways, or they overcomplicate the charts in some ways. So nothing against, these signals where you have tons of indicators on it, and that could work well. But I wanted to share with you this. I personally don't use it, but I'm sure that there are combinations that work very well. We can look at some perhaps together, right? One of the things that I think work well are, for instance, RSIs, for instance, commodity channel indexes, for instance. We can add like this, for instance. So, for instance, here we can see that price made a retracement. This could be even an early break right here, right? As it breaks through this trend line. I don't know. I never did that, but these particular indicators are known to be, as far as I know, very reliable, right? The RSI too, and it's pretty good and pretty useful for finding turns and basically retracements. All right, and then typically these indicator-based scalping strategies could have maybe a parabolic or something like that, or an Ichimoku or something like that, right? There we go. Here, the signal is right here a bit later on the parabolic, and perhaps, what else? Let me think for a second. Pivot points, of course, that's very useful. Let's add that, add more markets pivot points. And that is key, indeed. We can add the Keltner and pivots. All right. There we go. So, yeah, this breakout candle has space to the S1, is below the pivot point. Excuse me. So that looks good. Maybe we should change the parabolic settings a little bit. All right. So yeah, this is how you can get more info. We have bearish momentum, 1 hour candle. Here we have oversold, and RSI not necessarily, but made some upside there. And we have space towards support and the Keltner. We're not hitting the Keltner or something like that. So this is how you can use tools and indicators to help maybe make your judgments, and help build a better structure and understanding of the charts. This is all good supporting materials. All right. Any other particular any other particular pair you want to look at? I think that, for instance, pound CAD was really great. I was looking at the pound CAD already earlier with this bullish candle. I was looking for upside, for instance. But even if you just look at the hourly candles, right? Let's delete this. Let's delete this. And let's take a look at this candle, 5-minute chart. All right. In this case, we had to wait a bit longer, as you can see, because the correction or the break never happened until here. Then we had a good break. And then the next one was here, but this one, unfortunately, didn't really have much of a pattern. This one was so impulsive on a 5-minute chart. We didn't have the pattern after the pattern. Here, all the way here. That's when we had the break of the pattern. And it went up a little bit, but then it went into a sleep. So on a 5-minute chart, the second one, not so much. But if you would have traded the hourly chart, that would have been different, right? This was a good breakout candle. So that's just one more example with using candles and trend lines. But if you, let's dive into some other indicators. If you use Ichimoku, for instance. All right, there we go. 5-minute chart, break of the 1 hour trend line, 5-minute chart, Tenkin, everything aligned. This is above, this is the Chikung span, if I say it correctly, I hope, above the Kumo cloud. So we have a break, everything aligned here to the upside. With this break, not so much. So this would not be a good break from the Ichimoku perspective, right? Because we're running into the cloud. So that's not that great. We don't have this aligned. So it makes sense from this perspective. Let's see if we can find more examples. There was a good 1 hour breakout candle. There we go. And I don't see any particular entry here, but because it's already kind of broken into our direction. But maybe later on, if we get a retracement here, for instance, right, we have momentum, correction, and then a break above the short one. I think that's Tenkin, the Tenkin moving average. I mean, you could see with you can see it with the resistance trend line like this as well. But this is a confirmation. We have a break above the Kumu cloud. We have the moving average is aligned, and even the Chiku span is above the Kumu, and up it goes. Just to give you a different perspective, because I know that not everyone is necessarily into candles and trend lines, but this is trend lines and candles is what I use the most. Any follow-up questions with regard to this? Let me know. In the meantime, after this webinar, check out admiralmarkets.com. Trading webinars here, Nenad, on Thursdays, as you might know, in the meantime, so you can sign up for those webinars. All right. And MT5, all the information right here. And of course, these tabs give you a lot of info with regard to analysis and education. Really, so much stuff to discover here, as I always repeat. So sorry for that. But sometimes there are new traders here, of course. So just want to mention that. Also, what instruments you can trade. It's not only Forex, but also CFDs, commodities, as you can see, indices, as I mentioned. So a lot of things here, how you can set up an account, and also which platforms with regard to the Supreme Edition. Some of these indicators that you saw just a second ago, like the pivot point, the Keltner, are part of this Supreme Edition. 60 extra plus features. So definitely worth trying it out. A lot of good stuff there. All right, so who in here is scalping, just for the fun of it? Yes, no. Anyone scalping at this moment? Just out of curiosity, just to get an idea. Or are you thinking, are you not scalping now, but thinking about it? And I got 3 yeses so far. I don't want you to reveal your entire system, but what is the tool that you use the most, let's say, just out of curiosity? What do you think is the key ingredient when you're scalping? Just you don't have to, of course, tell me the entire plan. I don't want to steal it. That's not my intention. I just wanted to get an idea, and we got some answers. Let's see: candles, support and resistance lines, trend lines, and a moving average across. Great. I think it makes sense. I'm not a fan of moving average across myself as an entry, but as a trigger, I do use it. I use moving averages, let me say it this way. Supported and resistance trend lines, me too. Candles, me too. Great. So yeah, so horizontal support and resistance is actually something that's a great thing I didn't talk about. That is also very, very beneficial indeed to look at for bounces there. Let's take a look at your dollar, okay? For instance. So your dollar, I was looking for personally a breakout. We had a break. I was looking for another break up to 118.25. Maybe some of you know that, right? Wait, this is a trend line. I actually want a horizontal level. Let's see. I'll get rid of this. Horizontal level like this, for instance, right? Breakout above that. And there could be a swing scalp at least on the euro dollar yesterday, right? For instance, horizontal levels, very important indeed. Let me think if I had another example. Yeah, the dollar yen, for instance, right? And the pound yen, yes. Dollar yen here. I had it at a 50 fib. Maybe I was using this swing, this fib maybe. 50 fib bounce, right? Very important as a bounce. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart there. There we go. All right, so the first one is not so good because we got strong momentum here. But I think that after momentum fails to break like this, and we get the breakout, I think this breakout is good because of double bottom and the 50 fib, for instance. So maybe not the exact entry at the dollar yen on that 50 fib, but it is a good bouncing spot. And the minus 272 target, for instance, here on the pound yen I was looking at. So those are indeed very useful too, definitely. And one more comment, I'm scalping on a platform which doesn't have anything, only lines I can draw. Okay, so Marius is saying candles and lines. Great. Yeah, also simple methods, cool. So makes a lot of sense. I think there's a lot of info that we can get from just that indeed. But looking at higher time frames always is good too, and moving averages, I'm a big fan too, so definitely. Great, thanks for sharing. Wraps it up for this week. Well, I hope that you had some good trades this week. If not, join us next week and take a look at our analysis. And if yes, do the same, join us as well. And wish you all good trading, okay? Talk to you soon. Cheers.